All fucking righty then, folks. I think that it is time for the second episode of the DoughBoy fucking podcast. Let's fucking go. I'm just gonna stick to the name. I fucking... This is gonna be some, like, Joe Budden podcast bullshit where it's, like, the name for, like, the first, like, 107 episodes is like, oh, I'll name this podcast later. And then he changes it to the fucking Joe Budden podcast. This is just like, oh, I'm gonna change the name later. I'm never gonna change the fucking name. Anyways, today, we're gonna be talking about a movie that I fucking love. It's so fucking good. And nobody fucking talks about it. And it's so, oh my god. The movie I will be talking about today is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Released in 2017, it was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who is most well known for directing The Favorite in 2018, starring Emma Stone and Olivia Colman, and I think Rachel Weisz. That was like a pretty well-received movie. That's probably his most like approachable work. His second most known thing is probably The Lobster from 2015, starring Colin Farrell, who is also starring in this movie, and I forget who else is in it, but that's also a great movie. And he has a new movie coming this year in 2023, also starring again Emma Stone, called Poor Things. It looks fucking cool. It also has Mark Ruffalo in it and like a shit ton of other really well-known actors. I'm really looking forward to it. The cinematography in this movie is done by one of Yorgos's like very frequent collaborators, Timios Batakis. I fucked that up so much. Timios Bakatakis. I'm not Greek. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but, you know, the cinematography in this movie is absolutely fucking stunning. Let me tell you something right now. Like, oh my god. I'm gonna get to the plot analysis later. That's gonna be, like, the majority of the episode, probably. In the beginning of the plot analysis, I kind of talk about the cinematography a lot, but as I kept on writing the script, it was taking literally forever, so that kind of just, like, died out in the background. So, like, the first, like, couple, like, maybe 5-10 minutes of the plot analysis, I'm going to be talking about the cinematography, but then it's just kind of going to fade out, because I didn't really have time to keep going on about it, because there's just, like, so much done with the camera work that's so good and so important to the movie. Like, oh my god. Alright, let's see. It stars Colin Farrell, who is most well known for a lot of his recent work, actually. The Banshees of Inisherin from 2022. That was a really good movie. That was really well received. I think it got an Oscar or two. I'm not sure. It was definitely nominated for a bunch, but I don't know if it won any. He was also Penguin in The Batman 2022, the Robert Pattinson one. Another one of his co-stars was in that movie too, wink wink nudge nudge. And he also played Bullseye in the shitty Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. I forgot what year that is. Let me look it up real quick. Daredevil Ben Affleck. That's like the original character that Ben Affleck ruined, that in Batman. 2003. Yeah, he was in the 2003 Daredevil movie. That is absolute shit. But he is the best part of that movie because he is balls to the wall insane, and I fucking love it. Colin Farrell, he's my husband. It also stars Nicole this movie that we're talking about. It also stars Nicole Kidman, who is, of course, super, super fucking well known. Great actress. Known for Eyes Wide Shut in 1999. Stanley Kubrick's last movie ever. It's an adaptation of this fucking story that I forgot the fucking name of. It's you know Stanley Kubrick. It's fucking good. It's goated. She was in Moulin Rouge in 2001. I'm talking to like 4 people right now in this podcast because you 4 are like the only people listening to this. That's probably what you guys know her from. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the absolute stunning work that she did in the AMC Theaters commercial. Like, this right here, this is a place where crying feels good. Do you know how rare that is? Come on now. Alright, and the last starring actor, I cannot fucking speak. The last starring actor I'm going to be talking about in this movie is Barry Keoghan. I'm not completely sure how to pronounce that name. I'm not Irish. contrary to popular belief. He is most well known for being Druig in the Eternals movie from 2021. A lot of people complain about that movie, and it's definitely not perfect. It has a lot of problems with, like, pacing and stuff. It should have been made into, like, a mini-series of, like, 6 to 8 episodes, in my opinion. But for what it is and what it was able to accomplish, I fucking love that movie. It is so good. I love the cast, and just, oh my god. Like, we need that Eternals show or that second movie or something. I just want to see them again. He's also well known for being in The Banshees of Inisherin, 2022, of course. He was also co-starring with Colin Farrell in that. And the third movie that he's co-starred with Colin Farrell in is The Batman 2022, Robert Pattinson Batman. Now, this is more like a cameo, if anything, in the Batman movie, because I forget if it's post-credit scene or if it's just, like, the last scene before the credits or something like that. I think it's probably post-credit. But there's a scene where the Riddler is, like, locked in his jail cell or whatever, and he's talking to someone, and that someone happens to be the fucking Joker, played by Barry Keoghan. I think there's a picture of his, like, makeup and stuff. He looks, like, really cool. Like, his face is, like, really it's so cool. I don't think it actually showed up in the movie, because I don't remember seeing his face when I watched it in theaters. It might be, like, a director's cut thing or something. But, yeah, it's, like, I cannot wait to see his interpretation of the Joker. Like, I have my own gripes as a Batman fan about, like, introducing the character of the Joker that early into the Batman franchise that, I forget the director's name, but, like, that universe's Batman, because the Batman movie is, like, his second year, I believe, as Batman, so I don't know if you want to, like, jump the gun with the Joker that quickly into the lore, or at least, like, the movie is, like, super gritty and realistic. Like, it's supposed to be, like, a more realistic version of the Batman. And I don't know if the Joker translates extremely well to that as the very, like, next villain after the Riddler. Because the Riddler, more or less, was just, like, a really smart guy who, like, had a bunch of incels on his side. But the Joker is, like, genuinely fucking, like, all theatrics, all insanity all the time. And also, we all know that the Joker's just super overdone and, like, you know, so I'm not sure if it's going to come off perfectly, but I am definitely excited to see his interpretation, because I love this actor. He's so good. He's so fucking cool. I love him. Alright, so that is the actors. There's 2 kid actors in the movie, but they don't really have a lot of credits to their name, so I'm just gonna skip over them. Alright, let's get into the characters. So, the main character is Stephen Murphy, the father of the Murphy family, a renowned Winona Ryder, Jesus, a renowned surgeon with a secret that puts his reputation at risk. Ho ho ho. We have Anna Murphy, his wife, the mother of the family, a kind enough mother to her children and wife to her husband. Just as a base, like, no spoiler thing so far, I'm gonna get to a plot analysis that literally goes scene by scene, so we're gonna have spoilers, obviously. If you want to, please watch the fucking movie first. I cannot describe to you how good it is. I cannot describe to you how much I love it. Please watch it if you get the chance. Alright, so we have Anna Murphy. There's not a lot to talk about her character right now, since, like, I'm just setting the baseline. But, yeah, she's the mother of the family. That's about it. Her character gets a lot more complex as the story goes on. I think you can say that about really every single character, you know? Then we have Kim Murphy, the daughter of the family. I believe she is 14 years old. She's just beginning to go through puberty as the movie, like, begins, kind of. That sounds like a weird introduction to her character, but it is a lot more thematic than you think. It's weird. We'll get to it. And she's just starting to develop her own sense of independence, which, looking back on that in the script that I wrote, that's a fucking lie. She is not even remotely independent in this movie. She is so fucking codependent on the character that I'll get to after this one, Bob Murphy, who is the son of the family. I believe he's around 10 years old, question mark. There's not, like I said for the other characters, there's not much to say about him at this point in just setting the baseline. And this is the other main character, the antagonist of the movie. I wouldn't go so far as to say the villain, though, which is... He's definitely not a good guy. But I wouldn't go so far as to say he's the villain, you know? So we have Martin. I don't think he has a last name. If he does, I probably fucking forgot. I think they say his father's last name in the movie, actually. But I don't care. It was like a blink and you'll miss it thing. It's not important. So Martin, he is the son of a patient that died in one of Steven's past surgeries, and he frequently meets with Steven, seemingly seeing him as like a de facto father figure, often spending time with him, sharing meals with him, and giving and receiving gifts. Alright, so that is the movie info, like the base info. Now we're going to get into the plot, which is going to take fucking ever. So I hope you guys are strapped in, strapped on, and ready to fucking rock. Let's go. Alright, so the movie opens with a black screen before jarringly cutting to a full screen of a pumping human heart. As the camera pans back slowly, we see that this is a surgeon as gloved hands enter the frame and interact with the body, then a fade to black, and title card. So about this scene, this is a real recording of an actual surgery that the crew somehow got permission to, like, film. Like, this is real doctors really operating on a opened human chest cavity where they're doing heart surgery. And this Greek director was like, hey, can I film this for my movie? And they were like, shit, you know what? Go ahead. Oh my god, I can't. Like, it's such a good shot, too. Like, it's so perfect. Oh my god. Alright. By the way, actually, I'm gonna explain this later. I don't need to cut into it. Alright. So, we jump cut to a doctor taking off his surgical gown and bloody gloves, placing them into a trash can, before cutting to the doctor removing his headgear and goggles, revealing that the doctor is Steven. Steven is a cardiologist, thus the, fucking him doing heart surgery. I cannot talk. Alright. Steven exits the frame, and we cut back to the trash can, slowly pushing in. We cut to an empty and long white hallway. Steven and another surgeon enter the hallway and begin to talk aimlessly about Steven's watch. The camera continues to pull back through the hall as they walk, keeping the doctors small in the middle of the wide frame. Steven says that he's growing bored of this watch, which he's had for 9 years. He also says this little tidbit about, like, how the watch has a leather strap, but he'd much rather have a metal one. That comes back later. I'm gonna talk about this again later, but one of the really good things that Yorgos Lanthimos does in this movie is a lot of the conversations, a lot of the dialogue, like, on paper, mean nothing, especially in this, like, first half of the movie. A lot of the dialogue is kind of meaningless, but then as you, like, keep watching the movie, it kind of, like, ties back, or, like, flips back onto the script, and, like, in not very, like, very obvious ways. It's really subtle the way that he connects, like, meaningless dialogue back to, like, more lines from the characters and more, like, oh my god, it's so good. I'll talk about it later. Jesus Christ, this is so unhinged already. Alright, after the other doctor offers to get him a discount on a new watch, as the owners of the watch shop are... I cannot fucking read. Oh yeah, also... in the script, I keep saying the other doctor. He has a name. I'm gonna look it up right now because it gets, like, weird. So, hold on. The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Let's see. What the fuck just happened? What is happening? Alright, fuck, what is... okay, Jesus Christ. Characters. Jeez. George. No, it's not George. What the fuck is his name? Alright, you know what, guys? I am too lazy. I think his name is William? No, it's not William. What the fuck was his name? Alright, this is getting unhinged very, very quickly. Is it Barry or Bill? Or there's so many fucking side actors, like fucking extras. What the fuck? Why is everyone named William? There's like 3 Williams. This is so dumb. What? Is IMDb blocked on the school device? Yeah, it is. Okay, never mind. Fuck it. We're gonna call him William for... We're not gonna call him William. I'm just gonna keep calling him the other doctor. You guys are gonna have to deal with it. Alright, so... After the other doctor offers to get Steven a discount on a new watch, as the owners of the watch shop are previous patients of his, we jump cut to Steven sitting in a booth with his back turned to the camera. He is still in the middle of the frame, so the viewer's focus remains in the same position. The dark brown taking up most of the screen contrasts with the white of the hospital. So, yeah, again, like, I'm getting into a lot of the cinematography stuff here, but I kind of, like, give up on it very quickly. But that is not to say that the cinematography, like, fades out or gets worse. It continuously is just slapping the entire movie, which is another reason I suggest that you fucking watch it, either, like, before you listen to the rest of this or after. Alright, so... We hear the door open in the background, and Steven turns his head to beyond the camera's view, and Martin enters from the right. Martin apologizes for keeping Steven waiting, and asks if he ate anything, to which he responds he just had some apple pie. That's gonna come back later. Martin asks if he can get some food before they leave, asking if there's anything Steven wants as well. Steven refuses, and offers to give Martin money for the food, but Martin refuses as he leaves the booth. The whole scene, we linger over Steven's shoulder as the camera centers on Martin, who is facing the camera. But as soon as Steven starts to say, quote, "I can give you some money," we cut to the opposite direction, now seeing Steven being in the center and the only one in frame. So that's just a neat little thing where it's like, as soon as he offers something of himself to Martin, he's now the center of focus. Alright, we cut again to see Martin at the counter, his back to the camera, while the cashier handles his money. I fucked up the thing. That's a period, not a comma. His back to the camera, pause. While the cashier handles his money, he looks around aimlessly before turning around, looking at where we assume Steven to be, and smiles before turning back around. We then jump cut back to the table, but we are now far away from the booth, the characters being minuscule and off-center. Steven compliments Martin's haircut before we cut back to the original angle over Steven's shoulder. The haircut thing comes back like twice. I'll mention it when we get there. Martin says that he saves his fries for last because they're his favorite, to which Steven says that he does this too. This thing about having similar foods or eating habits comes back again later when Martin talks about his father. Thus, this small, like, again, insignificant dialogue, like, furthers the paternal relationship between the two as we get that future context about the infamous spaghetti scene. If you look up, like, the movie, the spaghetti scene is probably going to be, like, one of the first results on YouTube. It's a great scene. It's not like a scene as in, like, there's not a lot of action happening, but there's not a lot of action in this movie in general. A lot of it is just talking, but that's kind of just, like, the best part, you know? Anyways, alright. So we cut to an almost gross-looking close-up on Steven, then Martin, before jump-cutting to them standing outside next to Steven's car. The big blue sky oppresses the scene. Yes, because that is a word, the scene. The big blue sky oppresses the scene as you can barely even make out either character. Martin explains the reason that he was late is because he was at a friend's house checking out their new motorcycle. When he says that he rode it, Steven says that he hopes they were wearing helmets, again cementing Steven in a fatherly role. The motorcycle that's one of the more obvious, like, recurring things about the script, because that's literally just how he gets around. He just, like, uses the motorcycle. We cut close to the two as he takes out a present for Martin. Opening it, he sees that it's a watch. Martin asks if he can give Steven a hug, and before he can reply, Martin hugs him. Martin says that he'd prefer a leather strap, mirroring the way that Steven previously said he'd rather have a metal strap on his own watch. So it's like, while they're talking about the same thing, they're doing it in opposite ways, which is a decent, portrayal of their character dynamic. They're very, like, close, kind of, and, like, obviously there are two there are two characters that we focus most on. But even then, they're very different in their approaches. Also, I forgot to put this in the script, but in this scene, I think it's the first time and possibly the only time that we see Steven smoking, which comes back later since Martin later in the movie, says that he recently took up smoking as well. So that's another parallel between the two. Alright, so we cut to the Murphy family house, now being nighttime, as they all are at the table for dinner. The family has some normal conversations before Anna verbally corrects Bob's posture, saying that his long hair is trailing into his food. This causes Steven to acknowledge that Bob promised to get a haircut. Bob says that he'll get one, although not tomorrow, as he wants to do it after the party they were previously discussing. So remember that Bob right here is like somewhat defensive of his hair length, and it's obvious that he doesn't really want to cut it, you know? So keep that in mind. And then, again, this is the thing about, like, oh, he was complimenting Martin's haircut, but now he's saying that Bob needs to get a haircut because his hair's long. And it comes back once again, like, way later, towards the end. We cut to the parents in their room talking as they prepare for bed. It comes up that Bob wants to be an ophthalmologist, to which Steven says that, quote, he'd be a coal miner if Anna were one too. Showing that he is, like, at this stage, he's not really doing anything to really get Steven's approval. He's just doing, like, whatever, you know? So, yeah, this comes back later, since right now he wants to follow in his mom's footsteps, but later on he might have a change of heart. Ooh. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Alright. Anna approaches the bed, asking, quote, general aesthetic, to which Steven replies the same words as an answer. Anna then disrobes and lays on the bed, pretending to be under anesthesia. As Steven comes on top of her, takes off his shirt, then her underwear. What the fuck? Wait, hold on. Anna disrobes. Okay. Yeah, I fucked up the script writing. Anyways, Steven comes up on top of her. He takes off his shirt, then he takes off her underwear, before jumping to Steven walking down another hall in the hospital. So they imply this, like, super kind of weird sex scene where it's like she's like in the role play she's like knocked out and he's a doctor sexually assaulting her. It gets so much weirder. Like, this isn't even the worst of it. But yeah, so before we get into anything like super, well, it is kind of sexual already, but like before we get into anything gratuitous or like actually showing anything, we cut away to Steven back in the hospital. Alright. So, as he turns the corner, the camera follows him, revealing that Martin was waiting for him in the waiting area. We cut to them talking outside the room, Steven acknowledging how they previously discussed that Martin shouldn't come to the hospital without telling Steven first. Martin apologizes, saying he wanted to thank him again and show him the new strap that he got for the watch. As they discussed, the doctor Stevens was walking with in the beginning interrupts, saying he has some lab results. Martin notices that he and the doctor have the same watch, because obviously Steven went and got the watch from the shop that the other doctor was talking about in the beginning. So, and he probably, like, also just decided to get the other doctor's watch because he was like, he just saw it and he was like, alright, that looks fine, sure. Anyways, alright, I already read that. So, yeah, as they discuss, he gets the lab results, and Martin is like, oh, we have the same watch, what is happening? So that forces Steven to introduce him, lying, and saying that he's one of Kim's schoolmates. Kim's his daughter, if you forgot. He says that he ran into him and his parents at the mall, and that he's interested in being a cardiologist. So back at the dinner scene that took place earlier, they were talking about how one of Kim's friends is having a party. It was like, her name was like Claire or something, I reckon. Something with a C. So anyways, when Anna's like trying to remind Steven of who that is, she's like, oh, we met her and her parents at the mall the other day. She wants to be a cardiologist. And that's what makes him remember. So that, again, ties back here, as he is using that information that we previously learned in the lie. So it kind of, like, creates a tie between, like, we are actively realizing that he is lying because we have that prior information of, like, wait, we've heard that story before, that was someone else. So it creates this sense of, like, why is he lying about Martin? What about him do we not know, you know? Anyways. And yeah, this just, like, shows how the script is, like, super tight and neat and just, like, ties back all the time. Alright, so after everyone leaves, we cut to Kim practicing singing scales as Steven sits on the bed next to her. They're both dressed for their own events, the kids for the party at Claire's house, and, the adults, the parents, are getting ready for this, like, doctor convention thing that they were previously discussing. Jesus Christ, I'm doing a lot of backtracking here. I'm sorry, guys. This is gonna make no sense. Which, again, watch the movie. Anyways, so, like, I keep going back in time, but just bear with me. So, like, back before the sex scene thing, before the general anesthesia, when she's in, like, her wardrobe or whatever, just doing whatever she was doing, she's just, like, offhandedly talking to Steven, and she's like, oh, I got that black dress that you liked, and they go on about, like, oh, that dress was perfect, you look so nice in it, and blah, blah, blah. So that was the dress that she was getting for this party. So it kind of establishes the context of why they're getting ready for their own thing, you know? Anyways. Alright, so Steven, Kim, and Bob all have, like, little discussions before Anna calls on Steven, saying that they need to leave for the doctor party thing. Alright, so after that, we cut to a grand hall where we hear Steven give some speech about cardiology. He makes doctor jokes that I'm not fucking sure what the punchline was. I don't know, they're all very rich motherfuckers, you know. Anyways, alright, so in the middle of the speech, we cut to Steven walking with somebody who offers him to try a drink that he got from the bar. Steven refuses, and when he pushes further, Anna reveals that he hasn't had a drink in 3 years, listing 2, like, random medical things for why he doesn't drink, which isn't the reason, but we don't know that yet. So yeah, she reveals that he hasn't had a drink in 3 years, and she says that they should be getting home soon as Steven has surgery in the morning. Not that he has, like, a surgery that he's getting done on. He's doing the I think you got it. I don't know why I feel the need to clarify. But in my defense, some of y'all are some dumb motherfuckers, so I think I need to clarify. Anyways, when someone asks about the kids, Anna talks about Bob's piano lessons, and Steven says, quote, "Our daughter started menstruating last week," end quote. It gets so much worse, guys. Trust me on that. In the best way possible. I fucking love this movie, but it's so weird. So yeah, even for a group of doctors, the lack of a reaction from literally anyone after he says this is super fucking weird for the audience. And also, dude, that's your daughter. Chill out. Who the fuck talks about that in front of grown-ass men? She's 14 years old, I believe. Any fucking way, so that's just another thing that Yorgos does to, like, I guess kind of, like, alienate the audience from the movie. He does that a lot sometimes. Ah, yes, great fucking oxymoron, a lot sometimes. But yeah, he does that a lot in his movies just to, like, create that tone that he loves where it's, like, mildly out of body while still technically being, like, realistic, you know? So, alright. We cut to Martin in front of the house as Anna... Did I skip something? I skipped a lot of that. I skipped a whole fucking paragraph. Jesus Christ. Alright. We cut to the next morning as Steven and Martin walk outside together. Steven asks if Martin has many friends, to which he answers that he doesn't, citing that, quote, "The most important thing in life is to have good friends, not lots of friends," end quote. That being something that his dad used to say. Steven says that his father was absolutely right. Martin said... Jesus Christ. Martin says that he considers his mom a friend, as ever since his father's death, they've become really close. Steven asks him if he wants to come to his house one day, and then we cut to Martin in front of the house as Anna greets him. Steven introduces Martin to the kids, to which he says that he got them gifts. His gifts... Fuck me, Jesus. His gift for Kim is specifically a key ring with a music note on it, since he says that he knows that she likes music. Just further showing that, like, him and, that Martin and Steven have that, like, this has been going on for, like, quite some time, like, even before the audience knows. Because so far, I think it's only been, like, 3 days in our time, but they've obviously had a, like, long-ish relationship. I believe later he says that he's been seeing him for months, I believe. Something like that. Anyways. We cut to him sitting with Kim and Bob in Kim's room. Bob asks him if he has any underarm hair, to which he says yes, causing Kim to interject saying that she just got her first period. Strange ass fucking kids. I can't tell if this is rich people shit or white people shit, but it's some shit, and I ain't going near that toilet. Bars. Jesus. Bob asks to see Martin's hair, to which he immediately says, sure. And after showing it, Bob says it's not that much, saying that his dad has much more hair. That will come back later. It's still pretty fucking weird. Kim again interjects, saying that he has a great body. Shawty's fucking thirsty. What can you say? Them 14-year-old hormones are fucking hormoning, you know? Martin asks if they want to go for a walk. Bob says no. Kim says she'll come. Pause. We cut to them walking, then to Kim leaning on a tree, her hair now let down. I believe for the first time? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Anyways. So yeah, her hair's down. She's like leaning on the woods where they were walking around. And, oh yeah, she starts singing Burn by Ellie Goulding, I don't know, to Martin. It's not that bad for a 14-year-old, I guess. It's not good, but it's not bad, I guess. It's like a 14-year-old girl, and I don't think she has any, like, real singing training, like the actress, I mean, IRL. I don't think she has singing training, because, I mean, she could, but it wasn't really necessary for this role, because, again, she's 14 years old. She's not supposed to be that good. So yeah, it's a bit of a random song choice, I think. I don't fully think it has any deeper meaning other than, like, it was a pretty popular song, so, you know, recognizable, I guess. Anyways, after that, we cut back to the house. Martin and Anna are having a conversation about lemonade before he compliments the house. Steven offers for him to stay the night, but Martin refuses, saying that he doesn't like to leave his mom by herself. When asked where he lives, he says he lives in, quote, a not-so-nice neighborhood in a not-so-nice house, end quote. Alright, so after that, we cut... I keep saying we cut, as if it's not just the next scene. Anyways, we cut to Anna flossing her teeth that night. She asks Martin... She doesn't ask Martin, he's gone. She asks how Martin's father died. Steven lies, saying he died in a car crash. I'm saying he lies now. We don't know that for sure yet. Well, we don't know really anything yet, but, like, I'm just giving you the, like, finalized perspective because I know everything. Yeah, he's lying. He didn't die in a car crash. So, yeah, when asked if he went to the funeral, he says yes, but when asked why he went alone, he says that Anna was busy. Or she said that she was busy. There's no knowing if that's true or not. I personally believe it's not true because I feel like Martin was probably really guilt-stricken, especially considering the circumstances of his death, which I'll get to later. So I'm assuming he probably lied to Anna about being busy and just, like, snuck over to the funeral. But also, why would he tell her that he went to the funeral now? Unless she was actually... It's a whole thing. I don't know. I personally believe that he's lying when he says that she was busy. I do think he went to the funeral, though. Anyways... Martin calls Steven to say that he had a nice time and invites Steven to dinner at Martin's house, saying that his mother would love to see him since it's been 2 years since she last saw him in the hospital. So, yeah. That 2 years is most likely since his father died. Alright, what is next? Hold on, let me charge this. I'm assuming it plugged in. Alright. Oh yeah, just like a fun little thing about this scene, the music in it after Steven calls him is, not after Steven, after Martin calls him, the music goes into fucking hyperdrive for no goddamn reason, and it is so fucking terrifying. I swear to God, the music just, oh my God. And that's not like, it's not a bad score, I'm not saying that, but like the music isn't extremely noticeable on like your first viewing, but in this scene it is very fucking noticeable. Anyways, so in the next scene, as Steven is backing out of the parking garage, we see a figure walk past the camera, and then when the camera cuts into the car, like behind Steven, like in the back passenger seat, I think, we see this figure in the background, unfocused and small. We see Steven's eyes in the rearview mirror shift towards the figure with a disturbed look. that scene is low-key kind of terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's not, like, horror movie scary or, like, Hereditary scary, but it's just, like, what the fuck is happening? I don't like that, you know? Just, like, vague suspicions. We cut to Steven talking to Martin at his dining room table. He asks if he came to the hospital, but Martin says he didn't. Why did I say wasn't? Listen, I was sleep-deprived when writing the script. Shut up. As his mother enters the frame, Martin says he'd like the three of them to watch a movie. I didn't mention this because I got caught up on the fucking misspelling. Notice that Martin says that he was not in the hospital, which means he was not in the parking garage. That's a fucking lie. Alright, so, as his mother enters the scene, Martin says that he'd like the three of them to watch a movie. Steven refuses, saying that he hadn't told his wife he'd be late, but Martin's mom says that he could call home and just stop whenever he likes. Martin interjects, asking him to watch because it. You know, that's a great little horror duology right there, it. Anyways, Jesus Christ, I can't read. He's asking him to watch because it's his and was his father's favorite movie. His mom is played by Alicia Silverstone, who is, of course, the voice of the main character from the hit Canadian animated series Braceface, which is fucking insane. She also had this, like, little, like, minor appearance in this movie called Clueless. She plays, like, the main character Cher or something. I don't know, nobody cares about that movie. Like, I don't think any of you have heard of it, but who cares about that? Anyways, we cut to Martin watching... Wait, what the fuck? Okay, we cut to Martin watching before saying that he's going to bed. He hugs Steven goodnight, and we cut to Steven and the mother alone on the couch. This scene is just super weird, just like, warning. She says that he has lovely hands, saying that she used to notice them a lot when she'd visit her husband at the hospital. They continue with awkward small talk that definitely has, like, a little bit of a charge and tension to it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's very one-sided. Say what you will about Steven, but he ain't like that. He ain't no hoe. Let's see. So, yeah, she asked to take a look at his hands before grabbing them, kissing them, and sucking on his fingers. You know, like people do. Fuck that shit. So, yeah, he dips out of there quickly. Because, you know, doctors don't cheat, I guess. I don't know. This scene is so fucking awkward, and I fucking love it. When Steven comes into work the next day, he enters his office to see Martin already waiting for him, saying that his heart aches and takes off his shirt. He says the reason he's worried is because, quote, it's hereditary, unquote. That's a great movie. I might cover that later. Who knows? When Steven says he's too young... Jesus Christ. When Steven says that he's too young to worry, Martin responds that, quote, that's what you said about my father, unquote, and that, quote, he should have come out of that surgery alive, but he died, end quote. After lightly beating his chest, he says that he hardly slept last night and that he had to sleep in his mother's bed because she was so worried. So, yeah, right there confirms that, A, Steven was lying about the car crash, and B, he definitely had something to do with it, you know? So, yeah. So, after having Martin tested with, like, electrodes and a treadmill and shit, Martin, great show from the 90s. Love that show. God damn, I can't read. Martin asks to see Steven's body hair. He awkwardly does, but Martin is not very impressed. So, yeah, that whole thing about Bob being like, oh no, my dad has way more hair than you. Turns out it wasn't that much, you know? Turns out motherfuckers is not a bear. Alright, he asked Steven to come to his house again, but Steven says he has to be home. Martin says that he's gonna be upset because hold on, what the fuck? Why am I so shit at writing scripts? Martin says that his mother is going to be upset because he thinks that she likes him. Yeah. Continuing that he thinks they'd be a good couple and saying that his mother has a good body. Motherfucker, that's your mom. What are you talking about? Steven reminds Martin that he is happily married with children and says that Martin's heart is fine. We cut to Steven at the house of the other doctor that, like, he was talking to in the beginning of the movie. That guy. He keeps coming back. He's, like, the main side character. He's, like, the one everything happens around, basically, because, you know, limited cast, which is a great part about this movie. The cast is just, like, 5 motherfuckers in the center, and they are all fucking killing it. But anyways, I'm getting off topic again. So, yeah, he and Anna go to the other doctor's and his wife's house as he prepares fish for dinner. This is overlaid with audio of Martin asking where Steven has been and that he's called him many times. We cut to see Martin sitting alone in the restaurant booth from the beginning of the movie, continuing the call. He asks why Steven can't make it, and that he's already gotten him a slice of apple pie. Again, just that script being really tight, because, like, when Martin was late the first time in the beginning of the movie, he asked if he ate anything, and he's just like, oh, I just got a little bit of apple pie. And now, Steven is the one who's not there, but Martin still got him that apple pie, so it's like a little dichotomy. You fucking feel it, fam. My fucking throat, pause. So yeah, Martin desperately tries to make some sort of meeting happen, but we cut back to Steven and see him hang up the phone. The other doctor, says that he saw the boy yesterday waiting around Steven's car, confirming that he was the figure in the parking garage and that he lied to Steven. That's some shady-ass bullshit, if you ask me. I wonder what could possibly be going on, you know? Honestly, it's never kind of explained. I'm not even gonna hold you. It's not explained. It's just like a little weird character thing. We cut to Steven sitting in a chair at home as Kim returns home. What? Oh, yeah, duh, okay. Because she, like, comes in through the door and he's already in the house. Whatever. She says that Martin gave her a ride back home from choir practice on his friend's motorcycle. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's not Gucci at all. She says he's very funny, further developing her attraction to him, which is all sorts of fucked up when we get to it, but we'll get to it later. The next morning, Steven is worried about Bob being late. Oh, shit. Listen, it's been a while since I wrote the script. Shit is about to hit the fan now, just so you know. Shit is gonna get buck fucking wild. But actually, we still got some time to go. This is just the beginning of the buck wild shit. But anyways, the next morning, Steven is worried about Bob being late for school. When he goes into his room, Bob says that he can't get up and that his legs are numb and not working. He and Anna take him to the hospital where the neurologist runs some tests on him. He says Jesus Christ. He and Steven walk out of the room, seemingly fine, and Steven claims that he wanted to skip school and stay at the hospital. Quote saying, like, this isn't a direct quote, I didn't write it down, but I just remember this dialogue. He's like, oh, it looks like somebody didn't prepare for a test today, haha, and it's like, okay. As Bob and Anna come down the escalator, however, Bob's legs once again give as he falls to the floor, which is a really good shot because it's like from a bird's eye view and you just see that little shit just plop on the floor and it's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, Bob goes in for an MRI, which Steven had previously claimed unnecessary, and we then cut to Bob laying in a hospital bed with Anna sitting beside him. Everything seems to be physically in order, leading the doctors to think it could be a stress-related psychosomatic disorder. We cut to Martin and Kim riding the motorcycle at night in the city, neither of them having helmets on, how scandalous, showing that they've grown much closer in the background. For one thing, this develops, like, their relationship because, one, like, why the fuck does Martin have that motorcycle? What did he do to his friend? That's a question that I ask myself. I wonder if he even had a friend in the beginning, or if it was really just his motorcycle and he was bullshitting. Second of all, both of them, like, neither of them really live in a city-type area from what you get seeing the outside shots of their homes. Like, it's more of a suburban area. So, the fact that they're in the city is kind of shady as well. And third of all, this scene is fucking gorgeous, dude. Like, oh my god, it's so pretty to look at. Holy fuck. Alright. And, like, that's a thing. Yorgos, as far as I can tell, he's not, like, extremely focused on having pretty shots, like, quote-unquote pretty shots. But when he does, They are fucking stunning, fam. Alright, anyways. When Kim gets home, she tells Anna that she was at her other friend's house, Claire, the one that was referenced a couple of times in the background, and asks how not fucking Hannah, what is this, 13 Reasons Why? And asks how Anna is feeling before going inside. When Steven and Martin come to Bob's room the next morning, they find that Martin is already there visiting Bob. He says he offered to help him go to the bathroom, but Bob refused and wet the bed, which is just more of that, patented Yorgos Lanthimos weirdness. As Anna presents Bob with donuts, Martin whispers to Steven to come to the cafeteria when he can, and while Steven tries to refuse, we cut to Martin waiting at a table and Steven joining him. So it kind of mirrors, not like cinematography-wise, but like literally speaking in the script, it kind of mirrors their initial meeting, where it's just like, bleh, meeting, food, place, And also it does kind of mirror the cinematography, because like where the first one, Martin is the one like coming in front of the camera because he was late. This time it's Steven coming in. I don't know, it's neat, whatever. Martin says he brought him a present and gives him a Swiss Army knife. Martin acknowledges that Steven has been spending less time with him before giving his condolences for Bob. He says that, quote, the critical moment, unquote, they both knew was coming has come, explaining that, quote, it's exactly what you think. You killed a member of my family, so now you've got to kill a member of your family, unquote. If he doesn't choose a person to kill, the whole family will get sick and die, except for Steven, which is kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. The sickness works in 4 steps. 1, paralysis of the limbs. 2, refusal of food and starvation. 3, bleeding from the eyes, which we'll get to that. And 4, death. He only has a few days to pick and kill, and once the bleeding begins, they only have a few hours left to live. Alright, Steven has Martin escorted out by security, and he returns to Bob. Fucking obviously, like, if you heard someone say that shit to you, like, face-to-face, bar for bar, you'd probably think they're fucking insane. But it turns out he's not insane, actually, but we'll get to that. He asks if he's eaten, to which Anna says he isn't hungry. Steven then tries to force Bob to eat the donuts before being dragged off by Anna. And this is like a little bit of like black comedy kind of, but when Steven like barges out of the room angrily, he orders Bob to have eaten the whole box of donuts within 5 minutes. And he says it's so fucking fun. Like, it's so serious, but like acting wise, it's so serious, but tonally you can tell it's like, Jesus Christ. Anyways, we cut to Kim applying lip gloss at home, then to her and Martin laying together. He asks if she's on her period, and she says no. Kim removes her dress and lays on the bed. Bitch, you are 14. To which Martin calls her the prettiest girl he's ever met. Bitch, she is 14. And says he has to go. Okay, good for you, I guess. She says that she loves him so much. He grabs her by the hand, then leaves without saying anything. Bitch, you are 14 entire years old. If you don't put several fucking articles of clothing on right this second, I am going to have a word with your fucking parents, who probably do not give a shit. So yeah, that, like, further develops Kim's whole thing of, like, she's, like, for most of the movie, she's off in the side ground, not necessarily the background, like Martin is kind of. He's not even in the background either most of the time. He's also in, like, the side ground. But yeah, she's, like, often kind of separated from the family for a while until we get to her thing. But a lot of that time is spent just, like, giving her the arc of she's growing up. That's literally her whole thing. Like, she is growing up. She is developing mentally, physically, whatever. She is entering adolescence. That's, like, her whole thematic purpose, I guess. That and something that I will get into later, but that is, like, a lot later. So we got... How many more pages of this? We are on page 10 of 16, so... Let's get to the fucking numbers, shall we? Oh, yeah, okay. So we cut back to the hospital where Steven is wheeling Bob around, like on a wheelchair, until he yeets him off the chair, repeatedly trying to, like, pull him up to stand up, but Bob keeps splatting onto the floor. And I say splatting because that motherfucker was splatting. Listen to the fucking audio noise. Like, it's such a funny scene. It might be supposed to be, but it's just so fucking funny. I love this movie. I kind of hit that note, I'm not gonna lie. Steven offers to play a game where they both share secrets. This is probably one of the most fucked up things in the movie. Okay, I don't even know if I want to read this out loud. Steven says that when he was Bob's age and had just started masturbating, he was basically feeling a bit inadequate because obviously he was like 10 fucking years old and nothing was really coming out yet because, you know, the juices was not flowing. He was not yet lost in the sauce. So, Jesus Christ. So he crept into his father's room one night when he got, like, blackout drunk and grabbed his penis and gave his father a hand job to completion. Jesus Christ on several arrangements of crackers. Bob says that he doesn't have any secrets. I don't imagine you could have any secrets on par with that, Bobby boy. God damn. Steven says that if this turns out to be an act, he's gonna shave Bob's head and make him eat his hair. Which, again, is just kind of fucking funny. We cut to Kim and her choir singing, where she suddenly collapses. We cut to Kim in a hospital bed, refusing food. She tries to eat, but she immediately coughs it up when trying to swallow. So, sorry guys, Kim got affected by the fucking plague. Well, I guess it's more of a curse than a plague, but you know what I mean. Biblical plague. We cut to Steven driving to Martin's house, where he bangs on the door, threatening to smash the door down, and, quote, "Fuck you and your mother just the way you wanted," unquote. This is in public, by the fucking way. So imagine just this, like, big, like, 40, 50-year-old man. I'm not sure. He's not 50. He's not 50. This, like, 40-year-old dude banging on your door, or banging on your neighbor's door, who you know to be a single mother and her underaged boy child. He's banging on the door and screams, "I'm gonna fuck you and your mother." I would call several of the authorities. 911, 912, 913, et fucking cetera, you know? Anyways. Going on to say that Martin will die in prison before he leaves. When Anna once again asks about Martin's dad's death, Steven says that he had a stroke. Which, again, fucking lie. He states that he's been meeting with Martin for 6 months when pressured about if he was drinking during the surgery. Was it during this? Well, in context of that, he was drinking. I'm gonna spoil it. He was drinking during the surgery. That's the whole reason he hasn't had a drink in 3 years. He's an alcoholic. Yeah, he was drinking during the surgery, which is how he died. Not by having a stroke. It was like a surgery thing. But anyways, when Anna asks if he'd been drinking that day, not necessarily during the surgery, because she doesn't know about the surgery, he says only a little, which, first of all, that isn't, like, fam, that's not how that works. And that, quote, "it had nothing to do with the outcome." Was this about the surgery? Jesus Christ, I cannot remember. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think it was necessarily during the surgery that he had a stroke. It might have been, but either way, the main point I am trying to make, he is avoiding responsibility for his actions. He is not taking responsibility. That is the end-all, be-all. It doesn't matter about the specific details right now. So yeah, he copes saying that, quote, "a surgeon can never kill a patient, only an anesthesiologist can." Remember that quote, it comes back later. I don't think it's very soon, but it is relatively soon. We cut to Steven taking a shower, then sitting naked in a chair. I would just like a moment to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for modeling Colin Farrell in his image, because that man is so sexy. I love him so much. Can't get me enough of that Colin Farrell. Bob asks when they'll be going home, and Anna says in a day or two. Kim asks if Martin came to see her while she was sleeping. Anna says no, but then Kim gets a call from Martin, and he says that he's here. And we cut to him, like, we like, get a perspective from, like, just outside the room window. They're on, like, the 6th, 7th floor, I don't know. They're high up. So we get, like, this wide shot of him, like, in the parking lot, on his bike and whatever. So Kim somehow starts to move on her own. She like, stands up long enough to walk over to the window and see Martin. But when we cut into Kim's perspective, which is, like, the previous perspective we had, he's not even fucking there. So I don't know if that's real or if it's, like, symbolism or who knows fucking all, but the motherfucker disappeared. He's Satan. He's not Satan. He might be Satan. Who knows? Let's see. Where was I? Yeah. So as she walks back to bed, Kim again loses her ability to walk and she plops on the floor. Bob, we love Bob. He's such a little goober, you know? Bob, the Chad that he is, the fucking Sigma male that he is, he's like, I want to walk too. And he fucking rolls out of the bed and plops his ass onto the floor. It is so goddamn funny. Anna says she never wants Kim to talk to Martin again. Under her breath, Kim says, fuck you. But Anna hears her and takes her arm. Kim tells Anna not to be... This part is metal as fuck. Kim tells Anna not to be scared, giving her advice for when she won't be able to move. Kim is basically like, don't be scared, Mom. This'll happen to you too. When it happens... I forget what she says, but she starts, like... She's like, oh, don't worry about it too much. It's gonna feel weird in the beginning, but you get used to it. It's so fucking creepy. Like, oh my god. After that, Anna goes to meet Martin at his house. Martin says that, quote, ever since your husband killed my father, he's been flirting with my mom. Quote, I forgot to mention this. This is the spaghetti scene. This right here. This is, like, the scene from the movie that everybody knows. Nobody fucking knows this movie. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, like, if you look up the movie on YouTube, this is, like, what everybody's talking about, the spaghetti scene. It's not, like, super important or, like, thematic or anything, but it's really good. So, you know, watch the fucking movie. I need someone to talk about with it. Okay. So, yeah, so he's like, ever since your husband killed my father, he's been flirting with my mom, which is a lie. After listening to Martin's urging of his mother's affections towards Stephen, Anna asks why she and her children should have to pay the price for Stephen's negligence, which is a good fucking question. Martin just goes on to tell a story about how someone told him he eats spaghetti the same way his father did, but it turns out that everybody eats spaghetti the exact same way, and that it made him upset. Even more upset than when they told him his dad was dead. He says he doesn't know if the situation's fair, but it's the closest thing to justice that he can think of. That is probably why this scene is so popular, that little, like, tangent story thing and the little thematic beat at the end. Because, like, first of all, just to get that out of the way, that's what I was talking about, like, near the beginning about the whole conversation with the fries, where it's like, oh, I do the same thing, I save them for last because they're my favorite. There's, like, this weird paternal thing between food. And it's, like, most people don't, like, immediately just finish their fries. Like, you know? It's like, not everybody, like, saves them for last. But, like, you eat them alongside it. You don't just, like, start off with the fries, you know? And then same thing for the spaghetti. It's like, oh, I put the fork in, I swirl it, and then I put it in my mouth. Everybody does that, you know? It's not that obscure. Like, it's not that special, but it's there. You know? And then, of course, it's like, okay, it might not be fair, but it's justice, you know? A family member for a family member. While it would be fair to have Stephen pay the punishment for his crimes, it's not that he did it to Martin, in which case he would have to retribute for himself, but he did it to Martin's father, a family member, so he has to choose a family member to get rid of too. And it's like a whole thing. It's kind of dumb if you think about it logistically, but Martin isn't a very logistic person. He's a very, like, feeling person, you know? Like, he's not logical, he is emotional. Even though it doesn't really, like, seem like it. He seems very emotionally detached, but he's not. He's very clearly, like, he feels things very deeply, you know? Anyways. Where was I? Yeah, okay. So, Anna meets with the other doctor to investigate Martin's dad's death. She asks the doctor to get his files for her, but he refuses and asks what he can get a return. What he gets in return is us cutting to Anna giving him a hand job in the car. What is with this movie and hand jobs? It's so funny. And again, this is like the other doctor from the beginning of the movie, the one they had dinner with, blah, blah, blah. You know? So yeah. She asks if Steven was drinking, and he says yes. And then he mirrors Steven's line previously, stating that anesthesiologists can never kill a patient, only surgeons can. So it's kind of like both ways. They're just not, like, taking credibility and responsibility for their actions. They're both just kind of blaming each other, you know? So we cut to see that the kids have been brought home. About fucking time. Though they're still in their hospital beds, because of course, they can't fucking move. Their bones? The bones ain't boning. Pause. While Steven is eating nonchalantly in the kitchen, Anna starts to mock how everyone calls his hands beautiful, saying that they're lifeless and calling him an incompetent man. She says that she wants him to do something to put an end to this situation, and he goes off listing random nonsensical things to make a potion and tears apart the kitchen mockingly looking for these items. I would like to add, because it's really funny, one of those items is like pubes. He's like, oh, to make the potion, we need pubes. And he starts, like, going through the drawers looking for pubes. And he's like, do you have any? Oh, wait, no, you don't have anyone fucking pubes left. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Steven? Why are you talking about your wife's pubes? It's so funny. So the next morning, Steven takes Anna to the basement, where he reveals that he has captured Martin and beaten him. So he's just, like, duct taped to a chair in the basement, basically. When Anna leaves, he asks Martin if he thinks his mother is proud of a murderer. Martin replies that the murderer in his father's case, and the present situation as well, is not Martin, but in fact, the murderer is Steven. If you ask me, that's kind of Frankenstein core, if you really think about it. He says that he's wasting time, and that it will be better once the slate is cleaned. He questions Steven's, quote, depth of judgment, unquote, to which Steven replies with a haymaker, absolutely rocking his shit. Martin says that he wants to show him an example, and bites Steven's arm, after which he bites a chunk of his own arm off, saying that apologies mean nothing. So that's that thing about, like, reciprocity. You killed my family member, you gotta kill yours, bitch. Alright. We cut to Anna cleaning blood from the trunk of the car, but as she does so, she hears a gunshot. She rushes to the basement and sees Steven pointing a gun at Martin. Martin says that he better dig a hole in the yard. Not dig a hole. He better dig a big hole in the yard, because if he shoots him, 4 people are gonna die. Which is objectively a metal as fuck sentence, and I love that. We cut to Kim and Bob talking upstairs. Kim says Steven made the right choice, mirroring Martin, saying that it would be like killing 4 people with a single shot. She says that she's going to live with Martin, and that she's sorry. She says that they all love Bob, but that Steven is in a difficult position. Bob retorts that they bought him a piano, that Anna told him it'd be here next month, and that they didn't tell Kim because she'd be scared. Kim smokes a cigarette, just like Martin has been doing, which Steven has also been doing, and Kim says that she lost Martin's MP3 player, calling back to the conversation back in Kim's room from the beginning, well, not the beginning, from when Martin first came to their house. Because, like, Bob was like, this is my MP3 player, and you better not take it because you lost yours. So, yeah, she's not good at keeping MP3 players around. Dumb bitch. So, yeah. She asked Bob for a favor, which, again, this is one of the... Kim has some of the coldest lines in this movie. I'm not even going to lie to you. She says, quote, "Can I have your MP3 player when you're dead?" Unquote. That is the metalest fucking line, I swear to Christ, on so many crackers. We cut to Bob crawling on the floor to reach a cabinet with scissors, which he uses to cut his hair. The thing he promised to do at the beginning of the movie... That ties back in. He then crawls over to Steven, showing him his haircut. He apologizes for not listening right away and goes to water the plants. Something that he was scolded for not doing. Or, well, he says he's going to go water the plants. And Steven's like, "Motherfucker, you're crawling on your legs. Shut the fuck up." He doesn't say so, shut the fuck up, obviously. But, yeah. And he's so he got scolded for not doing that earlier. So it's... Now, in this last little section of the movie, everyone is just playing mind games with each other to be like, "Oh, Steven, I love you so much, don't kill me, you should kill blah blah blah." And it's so fucking funny, I swear to Christ. Yeah, okay, again, he claims that now he wants to be a cardiologist, not an ophthalmologist, following in his father's footsteps, which again is a callback to when Steven was like, "Oh, he'd be a fucking... coal miner if you were Anna," and it's like he's trying to win his favor. So he's carried back to bed while Kim watches in her chair. Steven breaks down crying outside the house because fucking obviously. And Steven goes to the kids' school the next day. Bob is said to be good at math and physics, while Kim is gifted in, aside from music, literature and history, areas where Bob falls behind. She is said to have written a brilliant essay on the tragedy of Iphigenia, and this is going to bring us to our first DoughBoy sidetrack. Okay, so this is the story of the sacrifice of Iphigenia by her father Agamemnon. This ties back to Batman. Fun. This is a sidetrack. This isn't in the notes, but that's funny because in like the comics or whatever. Batman's protocols for, like, if any of the Justice League members go evil, his plans to, like, contain them or kill them are called the Agamemnon codes or something. Or, no, not Agamemnon. They're called, like, the Agamemno protocol, and it's so fucking funny, and I love that. Because, again, Colin Farrell and Billy Kagan were both in the Batman movie. Anyways, back to the actual thing. While the Greek army was preparing to set sail for Troy during the Trojan War, Agamemnon caused the anger of the goddess Artemis because he killed a sacred deer. Hey, that's the name of the movie. She decided to stop all winds and the ships would not be able to sail to battle. So they were like stuck in the water, or not stuck in the water, but they were like stuck back in Greece. They weren't going anywhere. Agamemnon was told that to appease the goddess, Agamemnon had to sacrifice Iphigenia to her. He lied to her, saying that she was to be married to Achilles in order to lure her to the port of Aulis. I think that's how you pronounce it. Aulis. After learning the truth, Iphigenia reluctantly agrees to be sacrificed. There's multiple endings to the story, but the two main ones are that when he shoots... hold on. Does he shoot her, or... I don't know. He sacrifices her with some way. But, like, at the last second, either Artemis replaces Iphigenia with a deer without anyone else knowing and takes her to, like, her island place, whatever, to be a priest. So, like, everyone thinks she's dead, but she's just, like, living with Artemis. And the other main ending that people tell is that he actually kills her. And that's, like, how the war continued. So, obviously, you might be seeing some fucking parallels to this movie and the story of Iphigenia. Cough, cough. Sorry, I needed water. But this also kind of fucks with the audience's brain because, obviously here, the father sacrifices the daughter, aka Kim. But we'll see how that turns out later, near the end. So, back to the actual movie. He is told that they are both equal in manner and respectfulness, and that the principal doesn't know who he'd pick as a favorite between the two. So, right now, what he's doing is really fucked up. He went to the school and is asking the principal, "Hey, if you had to choose one of my kids, which one would you pick?" because obviously he has to sacrifice one of them or his wife, but that's a different thing. We cut back to the basement, seeing Anna holding Bob and Kim crawling down the stairs. Like I said, like, Kim is usually in, like, the side ground, like, kind of separated from the family, but they kind of, like, just treat her like shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Yeah. So Anna nurses Martin's wounds, and he thanks her for bringing them down here, the kids being, saying that he really wanted to see them. Anna gets on her knees and kisses Martin's feet in a prayer-like ritual before bringing the kids back upstairs. He warns her to do something fast, as Bob is about to die. So the whole thing, if you remember, step 3 in this, like, sickness thing, was that the eyes were gonna bleed. His eyes haven't started bleeding yet. How the fuck does Martin know that he's about to die? The same way he knows literally anything about the situation here. Magic, I don't fucking know, you know? He's God, apparently. Shit. So, we cut to Anna and Steven in their room at night, where Anna lies in the, quote, general anesthesia position from before, sex position, but Steven refuses, simply turning off the light. She then crawls up next to Steven and says that it would be logical to kill a child, since they can have another one. See, in movies like this, you'd usually expect the mom to be, like, super, like, lovey-dovey and protective and be like, oh, dude, like, protect the kids, take me instead. No, she's like, fuck them kids, we can have another one, I got you, bro. You need some sloppy toppy? I'll give you some sloppy toppy. Just, like, you know, keep me around, fam. Really funny shit. Dark shit, depressing shit, but also kind of funny. Alright. We cut to see Kim crawling down to the basement, overlaid by the sound of her apologizing to Steven for what she did. We don't know what she did yet. Saying that she was frightened. She offers to be the one to atone for his sins, asking him to kill her so she can save her mom and brother. We see her hand a cigarette to Martin and light it. She says to Martin that they could go now and no one will notice, asking him to help her walk again like he did in the hospital room that one time. He doesn't heal her, and Kim gets angry at this betrayal, starting to, like, throw shit at him. After searching all over the house for Kim, Steven goes to the basement asking where she is. When Martin says that she's gone, Steven bitch slaps him and searches the road outside their house, where he finds her crawling. That's what she's apologizing for, like, trying to escape. She continues to spew off that she loves Steven and that she serves only to obey his wishes. Jesus. The next morning, Anna reveals that she let Martin go, knowing that whether he stays or not, nothing will change. You'd think that the police would get involved somehow, but you know what? Respect to Martin, he ain't no... Sorry, I got cut off because I reached the fucking maximum time limit on GarageBand, which is like an hour and a half, which is concerning. You know what? Fuck it, we ball, you know? So yeah, what I was saying was, Martin ain't no snitch. I don't know what the fuck his mom thought happened, but apparently she ain't no snitch either. So, you know what? All's well that ends well. It doesn't end well. Well, it doesn't end well for one person. Okay, so, yep, she's like, oh, I'm only here to obey your wishes, Daddy. Why did I say that? Oh my god, Jesus Christ. This is what straight men have done to the internet. I'm getting on so many tangents. The next morning, Anna reveals that she let... Wait, what? I read that already. I'm tripping so many balls right now, my bad. As Anna bathes Bob with a sponge, Kim starts to take back her rudeness at the hospital. When she starts to ask about Anna's legs, Anna slaps her. Because fucking obviously. Because she's like, oh, how are your legs feeling, Mom? In like a, you know, because the legs are the first thing to give out, like step 1. So, yeah, you know. The next morning, we see Steven looking over Anna as she sleeps. We then cut to Bob as his eyes turn red and they start to bleed. When Kim sees this, she yells, really, like, nonchalantly, which is really funny, Dad, quick, Bob's dying. It's so funny. The actress for Kim is so good. Like, Jesus Christ. But also, the effect on Bob's eyes bleed, it's so fucking good and I cannot describe... It's so... Oh my god, it's so... Fuck me, it's so good, and it's so scary, and I fucking love it. That effect is so good. Oh my god. Watch the fucking movie. Steven goes to his room and tells Anna about Bob's eyes, and tells her to come to the living room, and that the kids are already there. She says she's going to wear the black dress he likes. Again, they're all, like, vying to win his approval, or not his approval, but, like, his, like, mercy, you know? This is where shit officially and wholeheartedly hits the fan. We cut to Bob, his mouth and arms wrapped in duct tape, and his eyes bleeding. That shot of Bob, like, being taped up and on the couch in his eye, it's such a good shot. Oh my god. And then we cut to, like, Kim and Anna both also being taped up. They're sitting on the couches and, like, the chairs and stuff in the living room, and they're set up in, like, a little triangle. So, Steven goes into, like, the center of that little triangle thing. He puts a bag over his head, picks up his rifle, and, he puts the hood over his head, and he starts spinning, and he fires his shot. He misses the first shot and reloads. When he reloads, he takes the hood off. He puts the hood back on, starts spinning again, and again he misses. Takes off the hood, reloads, puts the hood back on. Again he spins, he fires, he hits Bob in the heart. We cut to see Martin enter the restaurant where we cut to see Martin enter the restaurant where he and Steven would meet. He passes by the remaining family, who are sitting in the booth. He and Steven... I fucked up the timing. He passes by the remaining family, Steven, Anna, and Kim, who are sitting in the booth that he and Steven once shared. He sees Kim eat her fries before her sandwich. Wink. He sees the family get out of the booth and walk to the door. Kim turns to look at Martin a final time, and they all leave. The end. About fucking time, you know? That script was so absurdly long, and I didn't even touch on most of the thematic stuff. So this is just going to be a short little thing, going over, like, what I think about the movie, its themes, like, what it's trying to do, shit like that, you know? Alright, so, where do I even start? So yeah, this whole fucking thing, it's so weird, and I love it so much. The premise is obviously, like, really supernatural. Not the great show. That's not actually great. It's kind of shit. Sorry. I'm not doing that joke. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's like, it has supernatural elements in it with the whole curse thing. But for the most part, it's just a really, like, realistic movie. While also being super, like, out of body. Like, one of the things Yorgos likes to do in his movies is the actors will not have emotions. Like, they'll have emotions, but when they talk, it's, like, super monotone, and they just keep talking, and they're going on about random things, and blah, 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 blah. It's, like, it's super unique and, like, super disorienting if you're not used to it, but, like, as you keep watching the movie, you kind of get used to it, but you still have that sense of, like, you still realize that it's weird and wrong, you know? So it's just really good tone in the movie that Yorgos has. It's, oh my god, I can't even, like, put it into words correctly. So yeah, that is, like, perfect. I love that. The cinematography in this movie fucking rocks. Like, dude, you have no idea. Like, I didn't get that into it because obviously I would be talking for fucking ever, which I already am. We're, like, 135, like, you know, Jesus Christ, minutes. That's not how math works. It's, like, 60... plus 30, 90, we're like 96 minutes in, which is a lot of fucking time. Don't worry, we're not here for much longer. You guys can sleep. So yeah, the cinematography fucking bangs. I didn't touch on the score too much, like the musical score, but it definitely has its moments. It's not at all bad. It's just kind of like, I'm not a musical, like, attuned person, so I'm not, like, super, like, knowledgeable on that aspect, but, like, just as a regular, like, movie watcher guy, it fucking hits when it needs to. It's nice when it needs to be. It's, like, cool. It's good, you know? The acting, fucking phenomenal. Like, Jesus Christ. Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, Kim's actress and Barry Keoghan, fucking rock. I left out Bob. It's not because he's a bad actor. Like, the kid's a good actor, but it's just like he doesn't have much to work with. Like, not emotionally. Like, none of them are really super emotional, but like he doesn't have a lot going on outside of just like being a little kid, you know. But I will say, he has some pretty good little flopping stunts that are really funny and really nice. So you got to give him credit for that. All right, so themes. The main theme here is obviously retribution. Steven fucking, like, he was drunk off his ass. He wasn't drunk off his ass necessarily, but he was drunk. He was at work. He was doing surgery, and he killed a guy, and he didn't take responsibility for it. That is the main crux of the whole situation. He refuses to take responsibility, and for that reason, he has to atone for his sins. Martin is Artemis. His dad was the sacred deer. Stephen is Agamemnon. Bob, I guess, is Iphigenia. Like I said, it kind of fucks with your brain because you're like, oh, okay, Kim is the one that wrote the paper, and also she's the girl of the family, so he's definitely going to kill her because he kills Iphigenia. No, he kills Bob, which is... I'm not completely sure what the significance of that is, like, specifically choosing Bob to kill. It's probably something about, like just patriarchy shit. Not, like, patriarchy, but, like, male-focused storytelling, you know? But, like, still, it still works. It's still very nice. Also, I think it's more important to leave Kim alive just because, like, she had that relationship with Martin. So it's kind of, like, karmically comedic that she is the one who's left at the end to, like, look back at him before leaving, you know? It's kind of like, it's not necessarily cathartic, but it's kind of just, like, a big last fuck you to Martin. If even that. It's not even, like, she gives him a bad look. She just, like, looks at him and leaves. And it's not even, like, completely known if she's, like, regretting leaving or if she wants to stay or, like, blah, blah, blah. But that we're not going to get into that. So, yeah. Overall, this movie fucking rocks. And if you haven't seen it, you should probably fucking see it, because it fucking rocks. And I want someone to talk to about it. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say for this episode. I will see you guys tomorrow in person, because you're my fucking friends. I see you guys every day. But you will hear from me whenever I get the fucking drive to write and record episode 3. I do not know what it's going to be about, so stay tuned.